If I pulled out a cigarette and started smoking in public in front of people, most people would think, dude, smoking kills. But if I pulled out a Snickers bar or drank a can of soda, most people wouldn't think a second thought. But here's the thing, sugar kills probably more people than smoking itself. The thing with sugar is that it isn't an instant death. It first starts with warning signs that you're consuming too much sugar, which is creating inflammation in your body, weight gain, and a whole host of problems. I'm gonna be sharing the 7 warning signs to pay attention to that you might be killing yourself slowly with sugar. Spot these early on. Not only will I share the 7 warning signs, at the end I'm going to give you the solution to overcome the sugar problem and to burn fat and feel good. Let's start with the first warning sign. The first warning sign are some skin issues. Brown patches is the first thing that we notice when you're consuming too much sugar. This is usually a response of high insulin levels, and when you consume sugar, processed carbohydrates, and too much carbs in general, you'll have high levels of blood sugar, high levels of insulin, and typically it creates brown patches on your skin. High insulin levels is a growth factor, and with consuming too much sugar, it creates the promotion of too many skin cells. The high insulin from sugar stimulates the proliferation of keratinocytes and fibroblasts, which are the cells that form the outer and middle layers of the skin. Over time, this excessive growth can change the pigmentation of your skin, showing brown patches. These brown patches typically show up under your skin folds in the areas of the neck, the armpit, the groin, and sometimes even the knuckles. The other skin abnormality that occurs from too much sugar are skin tags. Again, with the high production of insulin, it creates an excessive growth of the formation of skin tags. These skin tags are commonly shown in the areas of your body where there are skin folds that experience friction, which are the neck, the armpits, the groin, and under the breasts. The second warning sign is high blood pressure levels. And you could test your blood pressure levels by getting an at-home blood pressure cuff, or you could do it at the doctor. But typically when you have high blood pressure levels, you'll have headaches, you'll have mood swings, and you just won't feel energized. And this is because so many people, and it may sound stunning, but half of Americans ages 20 and up, that's more than 122 million people, have high blood pressure, according to a 2023 report from the American Heart Association. Most people believe that high blood pressure is a result of high salt and sodium intake. But the untold truth is that sugar is the culprit. The belief that salt consumption raises blood pressure is based on bogus science. This conventional wisdom originates from French scientists from more than 100 years ago who based their findings on just 6 patients. Eating too much sugar inhibits nitric oxide, which is a very important molecule for health and longevity and for lowering inflammation. Nitric oxide is responsible for vasodilation, which is the opening of your blood vessels. This is very important to deliver oxygen and nutrients to your cells so you burn fat and feel good. When the blood vessels constrict because of the lack of nitric oxide, because sugar depletes the nitric oxide levels, the heart has to work harder, raising your blood pressure levels. This could also show up in men as erectile dysfunction and waking up in the morning without morning wood. Not good. The third warning sign is waking up in the middle of the night, usually between 2 and 4 a.m., feeling wired and tired, having difficulty going back to bed and back to sleep. Both high blood sugar levels and low blood sugar levels, so hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia, can result in this issue with sleep. With nocturnal hypoglycemia, or low blood sugar during the night, blood sugar levels drop too low, which stimulates the adrenal glands to pump up cortisol to create glucose via gluconeogenesis, which wakes you up and leaves you wired and tired in the middle of the night. Other common issues with sleep with sugar issues is nightmares or waking up feeling like you're crying out loud or screaming, so night terrors. Sweating in the middle of the night, waking up with your pajamas or your boxers that are soaked in sweat. Feeling tired and irritable and confused, waking up in the middle of the night. Trembling or shaking in the middle of the night, and a rapid heartbeat when you wake up in the middle of the night. The simple solution here, by the way, is to eat mostly protein and fat for your last meal of the day, which will keep your blood sugar and insulin levels stable, preventing from waking up in the middle of the night with these issues. I've also had many of my Keto Camp Academy students take a supplement called L-lysine, which is an amino acid, and a tablespoon of MCT oil or MCT powder right before bed to help with this issue. The fourth warning sign is frequent urination. When blood sugar levels are elevated, the kidneys attempt to filter and absorb the excess glucose from the blood. However, if the blood sugar levels are too high, the kidneys cannot reabsorb all the glucose and it spills out into the urine. There's two mechanisms of action here. Number one is something called osmotic diuresis. The presence of glucose in the urine draws more water into the urine by osmosis. This process is called osmotic diuresis. It increases the volume of urine produced, leading to frequent urination. Essentially, glucose acts as an osmotic agent, pulling water along with it into the urine, which leads to the second mechanism of action here, which is dehydration and feeling thirsty. The increased loss of water through urination can lead to dehydration. As the body loses more water, it triggers the thirst mechanism, causing increased fluid intake. This can create a cycle where high blood sugar levels lead to more urination, which leads to more drinking, and the cycle repeats itself. Frequent urination due to high blood sugar levels are often accompanied by the following symptoms: increased thirst, which I just referenced, unexplained weight loss in an unhealthy way, fatigue, blurred vision, and dry mouth. The fifth warning sign of too much sugar intake is frequent fatigue and cyclical energy levels throughout the day. When you consume sugar, it's going to raise your blood sugar levels and raise your insulin levels. The more sugar you consume, the higher your blood sugar levels rise, and the faster it drops. And that rapid drop in your blood sugar levels leads to fatigue. Your body is scrambling around to look for some energy sources, but that blood sugar level has dropped so dramatically, it leaves you feeling fatigued, wanting to eat more sugar, more foods just to sustain your energy levels. And some people even reach for more coffee later in the day, other stimulants, 4-hour energy drinks, which are super toxic, all leading to a vicious cycle. It's not fun being on a blood sugar roller coaster because you are dependent and pretty much handcuffed to your next snack or meal just to sustain energy levels. The sixth warning sign of consuming too much sugar is increased cravings for sugar and carbohydrates. Again, this is a vicious cycle. The more sugar you eat, the more sugar you want. It stimulates parts in your brain for dopamine and other reward centers in your body and brain to want more of the sugar and carbohydrates. This is why logically and consciously you might be thinking, I'm done eating sugar, but your body and your brain just tells you, go back to the pantry and put your hands in that box of Oreos or bag of chips or reach for the ice cream in your freezer and eat more and more and more. It leads to this emotional, mindless eating, which increases food addiction and sugar addiction. I have personally been there myself when I was 250 pounds, physically and mentally obese. It is a vicious cycle, and we got to break out of this, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of the lesson here today. The seventh warning sign is the most obvious one, and that is increased weight gain, and I'm talking about stubborn fat, the fat around your belly, your love handles, and your hips, and difficulty burning that fat no matter what you do. When you consume sugar, as we mentioned already, high levels of insulin are produced. Insulin is the only hormone inside of your body that signals to your body to store fat. That's really important because there's over 600 hormones in your body. About 8 of them signal fat burning, 1 of them signal fat storage, and that is insulin. Insulin is the bully of the block. When he's called, all of your fat-burning hormones are gone. See, insulin is an energy sensor. Sugar stimulates insulin the fastest and the highest versus any other food out there. And when you stimulate insulin, you keep storing fat. You keep signaling to your metabolism, store fat. This is the way we were designed as human beings. Our metabolism is designed this way to store fat whenever insulin is produced. This is a survival mechanism that helped our ancestors survive the famine, to put on as much fat as possible for hibernation, for animals, or for lean months, weeks, days without food or limited food supply. But in this day and age, we could click on a phone and have an Uber Eats or DoorDash driver at our door in about 45 minutes with food. The famine never comes. We just constantly signal insulin and we keep storing fat. I have 2 bonus ones for you here. Number 8 is going to be dental issues and frequent dental issues. High sugar consumption is a leading cause of tooth decay and cavities. Bacteria in the mouth feed on sugar and produce acids that damage tooth enamel, leading to dental problems. High blood sugar levels can damage blood vessels, impairing blood flow to the gums. This reduces the ability of the gums to fight off infections, leading to gingivitis, which is inflammation of the gums, categorized by redness, swelling, and bleeding. And then number 2, periodontitis, a more severe form of gum disease that can lead to the destruction of tissues and bones supporting the teeth. This can result in loose teeth or tooth loss. And the final warning sign when it comes to excess sugar consumption is mood swings, irritability, and social media addiction. There are studies that show sugar lights up parts of your brain that produces dopamine as much as cocaine. And one study even shows that sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. That is crazy to think that the same parts of the brain that light up when somebody has a cocaine addiction is the same part of the brain that lights up when somebody has a sugar addiction. This leads to dopamine resistance, meaning you're gonna have mood swings, you're gonna be more irritable, and you're gonna want more dopamine hits, more sugar, more processed carbs just to get that hit. And it leads to bad behaviors like social media addiction, where you're mindlessly doom scrolling or watching fear porn, which is news on TV, just to get those dopamine hits. It leads to a big problem called dopamine resistance, which is similar to insulin resistance, and sugar leads to both of these problematic issues inside of the body. This means that when you're just alone with yourself or walking out in nature, it's hard to feel gratitude and experience the benefits out there because you're not getting a constant dopamine hit. But I don't want you to fear here. You understand the problem? Now let's talk about the solution. I said I was going to provide with you the solution to overcome the sugar cravings, to overcome the symptoms with too much sugar, and I have outlined that in a video I released recently on how to lose a pound of fat every single day until you reach your goal weight. With this protocol, you're gonna see how to lower sugar, teach your body to burn fat instead of sugar, and lose weight and overcome the symptoms and early warning signs I presented to you in today's lesson. Best part about this protocol, you don't have to suffer, you don't even have to count a single calorie, you don't have to rely on willpower. When we eat food, especially carbohydrates are turned into strings of sugar